basic of payroll system. As you know, payroll is defined as the process of paying salary to a company's employees. It starts with preparing a list of employees to be paid and ends with the recording those expenses, which means uh, whenever we do a payroll, be it monthly or weekly, we always should know that how many employees we should pay, which employees we have to pay. If there are some new joinees added, if there are some terminations whom we should not pay, or if there are some final settlements this month. So if there are some employee on unpaid leave who are on maternity, so the payroll definition includes that we have to pay, preparing a list of employees so that we pay them accurate. Okay. And it is a process that needs different teams such as payroll, HR, and finance to work together. This is not a only definition of payroll, so this is one of the definition. Okay, so uh, and payroll department always works closely with HR and finance and HRBPs, or you can add more teams in HR. There are recruitment teams, so they closely work with HR and finance normally, and therefore it is an important link with HR and finance team. So let us study the steps involved in executing payroll. Like, it is standard everywhere, as I explained. In India has the same concept, UK has the same concept, US has the same concept. Only some steps may increase. Like if there are some different reporting in a country, then maybe the reports will increase. Like we have PF, we have ESIC, we have additional reports. So whatever reports are there in UK, so depending on that, some activities may increase or decrease, but the main activities that is uh, defining the payroll, okay, like the onboard employees. First step will be onboard employees in the system. Define payroll policy. This is for the new hires. Okay, execution of payroll. How we go about the payroll execution. So onboard all the employees in the payroll system. Like HR will already have the details of employees. They will share it with us, or maybe we are sharing the same software with HR. So we don't need to enter the details again. So we can see the details in the system already. We just need to ensure that we have all the details to run the payroll, like bank information, if there is a taxation applied. So we should know what tax rate should be applied. So there are some details that we need mandatory for the payroll processing. So define the payroll policy. Define payroll policy, which means it could be possible that the contract is different of employee. So every employee will not have a same salary. Okay, every employee will not work in the same department. So there could be possible some employees get car allowance, some employee get maybe some additional allowances, depending on department, depending on their role. So we have to define the policy, what is applicable for this employee. Like we do in India, we have the CTC concept. We define the CTC. Similarly, in UK, if there are some other concepts like any car allowance or any other allowances, that in UK, one more thing I've missed to tell you, that
Mm.
we don't have a complex structure like CTC. We have straightforward base salary in UK. So they have only base salary. If for example, if the annual CTC is 15 lakhs, so 15 lakhs divided by 12, that will be the base salary. That will be the salary of employee. Now, in UK, we don't have tax declaration kind of thing, uh, which is done by employer. So that headache is not there, I would say. Mainly HMRC takes all the decisions. So if employee has two jobs in UK, that is allowed. So HMRC will take care of the taxation rates. So what they do, they assign the exemption amount. HMRC assign the exemption amount.
Mm.
So there is a straightforward exemption given. You don't need to provide a tax declaration. If there is
Okay.
extra income for the employee, the tax exemption HMRC will reduce it, and they will let HMRC, sorry, employer know. So we have to apply that tax exemption amount.
Mm.
Straightforward. We don't need to get into details like what is the investment declaration, how much policy is there, how much is housing loan. So there is nothing like that. Okay, if there is anything additional that employee wants to show to HMRC later on, they can do a return filing also. But from employer point of view, we'll do the straightforward tax calculation. We'll not get into complex decisions like we do in India on tax declaration part. Okay,
So,
so what will happen? Like you are an employee, I am an employee. Okay, so for example, our salary is same, 10 lakhs, 10 lakhs, just for example. Okay, annually. So what will happen? HMRC gives a straightforward exemption. For example, we have in India like 5 lakhs, there will be no tax deducted, right? So they will give us the straightforward exemption. But if I have something extra income also, okay, some extra income, or like I'm taking lectures, for example, I have extra income. So my tax exemption may reduce. Okay, so that is something done by HMRC, and HMRC will let employer know that Ibn can get 5 lakhs exemption, but Sushil can get some reduced exemption like 4 lakhs or maybe whatever they think as per their calculation. But being an employer, we don't need to understand what HMRC has done, how they have arrived at this calculation. We don't need to worry about that. Whatever HMRC tells us, we will apply that. That's all, straightforward. So how
Okay.
HMRC communicates? HMRC communicates through the login portal that we have as an employer. So as an employer, we have a login portal wherein HMRC knows which employees are working with us. They have all the list. So they will every month or whenever they want to change the exemption, they will let us know. Okay, so we have to download every month a report and apply those tax exemptions. These are called as tax codes that we apply for employees. It will not change for everyone. Only wherever required for those employees, it will change. So define payroll policy, gather employee inputs. So whatever inputs, as I discussed, like new hire, termination, salary changes, promotion, all the inputs that we have to gather for payroll processing. Validate employee inputs, which is very important, which means the review part. If the employee inputs we have received looks reasonable and do we find any error in that in the validations? Like it could be possible that some employee salary is changing drastically, like from 15 lakhs, it is changing to 50 lakhs. So it is a concern, right? So we can do those validations if we find any inconsistencies. So that payroll is not impacted for the employees. Then calculate payroll, that is a payroll run process, all the process that we follow to ensure that the calculation of payroll is done. Then disperse employee salary. This is the same concept that you'll find in India also. And pay statutory dues, that is the taxation and PF and other deductions that we pay to government. Similarly, in UK, we have to pay taxation, NIC, student loans if we have any court orders. So all the deduction that should go to the government. Distribute pay
Okay.
slips to employee and distribute the tax computation sheets. In UK, you'll not find this tax computation. It is normally in India. So the payroll systems, working of payroll system manages everything, the processes of paying employees and filing employment taxes. So why it is important in payroll system? Because in UK, HMRC has made improvements. Okay, so the reporting, what I told you, we call this FPS. Okay, full payment summary, which is sent to HMRC every month after the payroll is completed. You have to send full payment summary, which has all the details: employee name, ID, date of birth, all the details, salary, taxes, whatever we have deducted. Each employee's details will be sent to HMRC and they will verify. In this FPS, okay, there will be multiple things. One will be the, the login ID, okay, that is which is called as pay reference. For each employer, HMRC gives a single ID. Like we are working for ABC company. So ABC company will have a standard unique pay reference, which is their ID with HMRC. So whenever we send a report FPS, so we have to mention that reference number, okay, so that HMRC comes to know that this is the employer, because by name they can mix it up. Maybe ABC company or ABC Limited, but there are two companies with almost similar names, so they can mix it up. So what they do, whenever the organization registers with HMRC, they give a unique reference number so that that company can use that single reference number to let HMRC know which employer it is. Okay, so they mention this number in all the reports so that HMRC records everything in that employer's details. Okay, like we have
Okay.
in organization, we have employee IDs, so similar kind of thing. Then the other thing that will be reported is employee IDs. Okay, so employee
Okay.
pay reference will let HMRC know which company it belongs to, this employee. Then employee ID, okay, and NIC number. These mainly NIC number is very important. Like we have PAN numbers. Okay, so that's what something I was about to tell you. So here it says that thing. Okay, payroll system manages everything with the process. You see the first line. So the payroll system in UK is defined in a such a way that it configures the report that HMRC accepts. The
Oh.
format that HMRC accepts, it has the same configuration. So you don't need to worry about that. You just need
Ah.
to validate that report every month with your output that it should match. Like if you're saying that HMRC that we have deducted so much taxation for the employee, and that should be the same as his output. It should not be different. So that is something basic validation you have to do. And that same report goes to HMRC directly through system only. You don't need
Okay.
to.
So.
Earlier, it was manual report that was sent out. It used to take a lot of time, lot of intervention was there, errors were there. Now you need to just click it, and HMRC receives in the format they want, and they have that automation wherein it is recorded in that system for the employee. So that is the reason it says that payroll system manages everything with the process of paying employees. Okay, so we run everything in the payroll software, and filing employment taxes as well. Filing means we are sending it to HMRC, so HMRC comes to know how much taxation they will they need to collect in total, and each employee wise also, and they can validate if it is correct or not. So they have a very good calculation system. HMRC has I would say the best system they have. So that is the concept, I think, uh, which is very good, which leaves less scope for future calculations. Like in India, at times we have some adjustment to be done in year end. Okay, so it was earlier in UK also. They improved it. Right. So I think India is also bringing new regimes. So it is also a similar kind of concept, it seems. But it is really a good system. Like I am not only comparing India with UK, other countries also. I have seen that UK is very standard, very standard. One of the best system I like in UK payroll. And it is simple and systematic. You can do a manual payroll of an employee in UK. Okay, that I think US it will be little difficult to do a manual payroll. You will need more time to spend, maybe 2 hours, 1 hour for one calculation. In UK you can do 5-10 minutes if you're very good in the calculation and concept. You'll do it in 5 or 10 minutes calculations. Okay, so the payroll system they are put in place to keep track of working hours. Like if you have a proper system, so we can keep record of all the employees. You don't need to maintain an Excel file. So you just go into that employee records. You can see the working hours of the employee. What is the salary of the employee? Okay, what are the taxes recorded? So everything you can see in the system. So that is the reason payroll system is very helpful and uh, easier to maintain
Ah.
records. So if employer can afford a payroll system, a good payroll system, use
Okay.
a payroll system. Yeah. Now, software is often used for payroll and requires minimum input from employers. Like if we have a software, we don't need to enter things manually again and again. Like we don't need to maintain Excel, or there are chances of any errors, or multiple manual entries are not required. We just need to work on the changes wherever required. That is the reason software is also beneficial. As you know, like you're working since 10 years in payroll and HR department, how important the software is. Employees are required to input wages and hours worked, and then the software uses this information to automatically perform calculation and deduct withholdings. So if there are time card entries where an employee updates the time card entry, so based on the time card entries, employee salaries are paid. It is not in all the cases, but yes, wherever employee updates their hours, they can get the overtime also calculated directly. You don't need a manual intervention where an employee will punch their time card, their hours, and this will be calculated automatically. Because in large factory-based companies, you'll see it is a very manual and hectic task of recording overtimes, extra hours. So through through the time card entries and punch cards, it will be very easier for software to capture and process the overtime or extra hours. If there are like bank employees or normal employees, so they have 8 hours fixed, right? So normally employees fill their 8 hours every day. Like most of the softwares, the employee have to fill the time cards, like we also do. So anything above 8 hours, if employee punches, like if employee works 9 hours or 10 hours, okay, so for that 1 hour, 2 hour extra, that employee's wages will be calculated extra, but the base salary will remain same, right? If there is 8 hours, then there will be no impact. Okay, these are different patterns where we can think of depending on the company requirements if they want to record the overtime directly into the punch card. Okay, so if someone updates 10 hours today, so system knows that 8 hours is normal, so it's employees receiving salary for 8 hours, so only extra 2 hours will be calculated for overtime. You understand? Depending on the time, like if employee is punching on Saturday or Sunday, so the overtime rate differs, right? If it is on daily basis, like on weekdays, so the overtime rate will be different. Like at only extra 1 hour salary will be paid, right? On weekends, if employee works, there are double salary at times. Depending on the calculations, the system will perform the calculations accordingly. If someone loves updates the leave, right, the unpaid leave, or depending on the system, that system will calculate if employee has leave or not. So if there is an unpaid leave, then unpaid leave will be captured automatically. That is a beneficial part of softwares, having softwares. And if we can configure these in the system, then it will be more beneficial. We don't need to perform manual calculations. So most payroll system software are automatically updated when tax laws change and will alert employees when to file certain tax forms. So uh, like most of the payroll system means almost all the softwares, okay, they will notify whenever there is a change in law or calculations. Like we have every year, definitely the rates will change, but in case in between there is some changes, like in UK in 2022, it happened, like the rates of taxation changed twice because of the change of prime minister. You know, like Rishi Sunak was appointed later on. So before that, there was a lady who changed the rates, and then in November and October, I guess October again it got changed when Rishi Sunak was appointed. So he brought some changes back to normal. So if there is any changes in between, so that will be informed by the software because it is configured based on the local legislation, that is the tax and laws. So system will give the pop-up, there will be email, and at times there are software companies who will call and say inform the companies that you will receive an update. Please update your software. So it will be automatically updated the new tax uh, details. The three stages of payroll that we have normally is pre-payroll, actual payroll, and post-payroll. So we'll see more about pre-payroll. Like you already know that pre-payroll are the activities that we perform before the actual run of payroll, like to ensure that all the inputs are received from HR, from a third party, from finance, like finance will share the loan details or any kind of inputs that we need to expect from all the departments. We have received everything or not. So we'll record everything in the payroll. That is a pre-payroll activity. We'll check if the inputs are correct, all the changes are received. Okay. So let's see into a detailed one. So three stages of payroll starts with the defining payroll policy. As I said, if there are new hires, so we'll define the payroll policy for them, like what should be the salary structure, and if there is any different policy applicable for the employee. Like there could be some departments in which there is overtime applicable. In some department there will be no overtime because that department doesn't need overtime. So these kind of policies we have to define for that employee, and normally the software does it. Like if we put that employee's department name, that employee's policy will automatically be updated. But that is just a formality. Earlier, we used to do it manually, right? The contract was prepared and we used to set the policy. Is this employee eligible for overtime or not? If this employee will receive car allowance or not. But now this is done in the HR system automatically and this is defined. Then gathering all inputs. As I said, gathering all the inputs from all the departments, starting from HR, HRBP, recruitment teams, and talent acquisition team. Sorry, it is the same team, talent acquisition recruitment team. Sorry, I wanted to say rewards team. Yeah, rewards team. Uh, any other team like finance team. So we have to check. Normally, payroll team does. They keep a checklist. Okay, they have to maintain a checklist like how many inputs expect every month. For example, new hire terminations are common, right? Every month. Promotion and salary change could be common in some companies every month, right? So did we receive all these inputs or not? So we keep on ticking, okay, we have received. Then only we'll move ahead with the payroll. In case we have not received anything which was expected, then we can follow up, right? So that ensures that we have checked everything. Okay. So this will be important in payroll, in pre-payroll activities. And like we also keep an annual checklist. If it is a March month, so it is a special month, right? Then if it is April month, it is a special month again. So in April, we'll accept maybe annual reviews, salary changes for everyone will be received.
Mm,
So these kind of checklists are very important for payroll team. Then we do the input validations. Once we check all the inputs are received, then we check if the input received does make sense, like just a sanity check, wherein we'll see if the salary changes are received, if it is reasonable. Like normally we receive 15, 20 or 30, 40. So these kind, and what is the increase percentage? If someone's increase percentage is around 100 or 200%, then that is important to check. Normally it is 10 to 15%. So these kind of checks that payroll team will do. So these are all pre-payroll activities that we say until and unless we are sure that we are ready for payroll. Okay, that is the indication that we are ready for the payroll. Okay, so all those activities which will make us confident, okay, that
mm,
we are ready for payroll comes into pre-payroll activities. In my basic, if I say in basic words, these activities will come in pre-payroll activities. Okay,
mm,
then when you lock the system, okay, some system needs to be locked to run the payroll so that no one changes in between anything. So that
mm,
activity starts our payroll calculation. So we'll lock the system, we'll do the test run, we'll correct our errors in the payroll, then we'll redo the changes if required, and then we'll run a live payroll so that we have calculated the final payroll for everyone. So all those activities come into the payroll process, which is called as payroll calculation, because we do the gross to net calculations. So whatever activities are involved in gross to net calculation are called as payroll calculation or payroll activity, actual payroll process. So in UK normally it happens monthly payroll. They do not follow that uh, complex structure like 25th to 24th normally. They target to pay employees by 22 to 25th. In UK, it is the tradition 22 to 25th. They try to pay, but they pay for first to 30th or 31st of the month. So for example, October month, 1st to 31st October, the salary will be calculated for this period, but it will be paid in advance. That is 22 to 25th, any payday in between. Depends on company. If they want to follow 22nd, they will pay on 22nd. If some companies pay on 25th, so 25th. But the payroll will be calculated from first of the last day. So once we are done with the payroll, okay, we are uh, we are confident that we are done the correct payroll and we don't have any changes. We'll close the payroll and process the gross to net file. Okay, and also generate a bank file. Okay, so that we can process the employee salary and GL files, which will be shared with the finance team. So all the reports which is required, then we'll also generate FPS. Okay,
mm,
once we are done with the payroll, we'll generate a gross net report and FPS as well. Okay, so that is a test file so that we can check if FPS looks correct. Then these activities come into post payroll activities like the payslip distributions and payment to the employees, sending of FPS. You see statutory compliance. This is the statutory compliance that we follow. FPS submission, then uh, sending payslips to the employee on the portal, then meeting all the payment dates. These are all statutory compliances that we have to meet up. So the last part comes the reporting part, wherein we'll send the reports to finance wherever required. If there is some report going to third party, like if you are paying some vouchers to the employee, like food coupons, if something goes out, then all the reporting part comes into the last part.